to House Resolution 2965 is adopted.
In San Francisco yesterday, they celebrated the end of an era. After nearly 2 decades, the policy of Don't Ask, Don't Tell, which bans gays and lesbians from serving openly in the military, is all but history. An overwhelming moment for retired Navy Commander Zoe Dunning, who has worked to repeal the law since its beginning.
It's very emotional, and I just had an active duty service member who's done 3 tours overseas and has served for 11 years with tears in his eyes thank me. You can't ask for more than that.
The principal core value of the Air Force is integrity first.
Former Major Mike Almy served in the Air Force for 13 years until his superiors read his emails, determined that he was gay, and he was discharged. He came to Capitol Hill to watch Congress vote.
Soon we can serve in the military without having to sacrifice our honor, our integrity, without having to lie every day about who we are.
The yeas are 65, the nays 31.
The bill passed with 65 votes,
Without objection.
8 of them Republican, including Maine Senator Susan Collins.
We should welcome the service of any qualified individual who is willing to put on the uniform of this country, fight for us in war zones such as Afghanistan and Iraq, and put freedom on the line for us.
It's going to be a beautiful day.
Connecticut Independent Joe Lieberman called it one of the best days of his 22 years in the Senate.
We're going to be true to what America is supposed to be about. We're supposed to be about not who you are, but how you do your job. And, you know, gay and lesbian Americans in the military will not be seen as gays and lesbians. They'll be seen as what they are, American soldiers.
Opponents of repeal, led by Arizona Senator John McCain, pleaded that such a dramatic change during a time of 2 wars would put troops in harm's way.
I hope that when we pass this legislation, that we will understand that we are doing great damage.
In the weeks leading up to the vote, Democrats got a boost from a recent Pentagon study in which 2/3 of U.S. troops said changing the controversial law would have little impact, a feeling shared by most of America.
A CBS News poll earlier this month found that 69% of Americans support allowing gay men and women to serve openly. That's up from 42% in 1993, the year Don't Ask, Don't Tell was implemented under President Clinton.
The issue is whether men and women who can and have served with real distinction should be excluded from military service solely on the basis of their status.
Until that point, homosexuals were barred from serving in the armed forces. President Obama has made repeal a priority.
This year, I will work with Congress and our military to finally repeal the law that denies gay Americans the right to serve the country they love because of who they are.
Later this week, the president is expected to sign the bill into law. After the president's signature, the Pentagon will begin an implementation plan, followed by a 60-day waiting period, all of which could take up to a year. Still, the vote is seen as a major victory for Democrats, reeling from a painful November election. And an even bigger win for those like Lieutenant Colonel Victor Fehrenbach. He's been fighting discharge for 2.5 years.
On Tuesday, I put my flight suit back on and I go back into work as I have for the past 19.5 years. Proudly.